Hi everyone, I'm Greta.
And I'm Claudia, and welcome to Knitters and Critters and Readers Book Club Edition.
Book Club Edition!
Yeah!
That's right. So today we're going to be talking about Shadow and Bone, specifically comparing and contrasting the books to the amazing Netflix adaptation. I know the news recently came out that, yes, season 2 has been greenlit, and we're all so excited for what's going to happen.
Very excited. I think it's filming right now in
I
Budapest.
think so.
With like cast from the second season, and I think it's supposed to come out next year.
I think that's what I heard as well, like early next year. Fingers crossed.
I hope so.
I want that show to come back so badly.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd kick things off maybe by going into a little bit of the differences between the show and the books, excuse me.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know or hasn't read any of the books, here is your spoiler warning. So we are going to be talking
we're going to talk about everything.
About the whole trilogy.
The
We're
ending.
also going to be talking about the companion series, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. We might even touch on the newest duology here and there. Rule of Wolves, I think, is the first book.
King
in
of
that.
Scars.
Scars.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what were some of the biggest changes that they made in the show?
Well, I happen to like the Six of Crows characters more than Shadow and Bone.
Me too.
And even though I love that they were incorporated into the Netflix series, Six of Crows, they have their own, very well built story.
Yeah.
And that didn't really get put into the series. And I understand it was mainly Shadow and Bone.
Right. Mainly Alina and her story. And,
and I like what they did. I think Ben Barnes is, brilliant
as the Darkling.
The Darkling. Yes, I have the candle. It smells like pain and loneliness. Like, I'm sure he does. I don't know yet.
It'll make
Call
you
me
thirst.
Ben. Call me Ben. So it was great to see them, and I do think that they were amazing. They were very well cast.
Right. Great addition to the story as well. I think it really... I did a huge service to the world building of the whole Grishaverse, and Leigh Bardugo, the author, did a great job to begin with.
Yeah.
But I think having the crows just kind of gave it like an added hint of depth.
Right.
Which was really great.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's probably the biggest departure from just the Shadow and Bone original trilogy compared to the show.
Yeah.
Something I did notice, which definitely was smaller, but I think could have interesting implications, was the inclusion of the Ravka separatist movement. In the show, they kind of go into this like whole idea that West Ravka... So obviously West and East Ravka are split because of the Shadowfold, the Unsea that runs through the middle of the kingdom. In the show, there's this whole separatist movement in West Ravka saying that they want to break away and become their own country. Not included in the original books, but brilliant. Like,
it
why
was great.
wouldn't they?
I liked it, and the main character that shows up there was in a show called Copper, which I did watch, and he's pretty good, so I hope they bring his character back.
Yeah. I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I'm thinking about what else. We actually, speaking of the crows, kind of going back a little bit, we actually got to see Nina and Matthias like meet.
Absolutely love them.
Which was not included in the book as anything but like something I think Nina was maybe telling to Annette.
And they got to eat waffles together.
Yes.
It was the best.
I really do enjoy that pair. But I'm kind of like dancing around this. I don't want to completely spoil.
Well, we're doing spoilers.
Well, okay. Extra spoiler alert for the second Six of Crows book, Crooked Kingdom. I'm not entirely sad that Matthias died.
Yeah.
He was not my favorite character. I don't know. He's kind of like Mal to like the nth degree.
Yeah.
Like very bitter, and I don't know. I think Nina could do better.
Yeah. Well, maybe she has.
Speaking of Mal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Give us your thoughts. I know you have a lot of thoughts about Mal, and his storyline was really deepened and broadened in the show than it was in the original books. What do you think about him as a character?
I don't have a problem with the his story in itself. he is Alina's best friend, maybe more. They, it's very strongly hinted at. The character itself is just there. It's like, okay, yeah, I understand he is Alina's best friend and, her only tie to their childhood and everything. And I feel like, that is mostly why she ends up falling in love with him, because, the Darkling uses her. Right. Uses her powers, sort of, you will see on the second season if they portray the whole him, just sort of appearing to her. Right. And sort of getting in her head and making it clear that, all that. I completely don't like that she chooses him in the end. Considering the two alternatives, because... I mean, the Darkling, I feel that if Alina had been a stronger character and not so reactive, that she might have affected him into, there is never a feeling that they are equals to me.
True. Yeah. It's always very, it's
the power always, imbalance he's up here. Skewed. And not just that, but like in their personality. Yeah. And I understand he's centuries old and he's, been evil forever and all of that. But if she is supposed to be the savior of the world, then I feel like she needs to be at least how she's portrayed in the show, where she's just sort of like, oh my God, you're going to put makeup on me? Like, oh, that is so awesome. Yeah. Where the world is at stake. And that was also... I mean, if I may break into a different series, my issue with Selena from The Throne of Glass, she is battling for her life, and she's like, oh my God, look at my apartment. Look at my dresses. Oh my God. Look at that. And I'm like, I would not be able to think of that. Yeah. And it's the same with Alina. And I understand that these are marketed, towards a young adult, where a lot of, young girls may be like, oh my God, she's getting made over, time to cue the Pretty Woman, music. And I understand that, a lot of these books have that, whereas this sort of, low birth or whatever heroine that ends up, becoming the pretty princess and all of that. But, literally the fate of the world is here at stake. Yeah. And she kind of needs to grow up a little bit more than they show her in the show. Yeah, or in the books, too. It takes her a while to really mature in the books. And sort of become a little more cognizant and not just go, oh my God, he's so pretty and so powerful. I'm so thirsty. And I get it.
All the hormones.
Ben Barnes, I mean, he is very
We're two grown-ass women.
Oh, no, he was in this show, Gold Digger. Really? Have you seen it?
No.
Where he plays this younger guy who's in love with like a 50-something Julia Ormond. And I'm like, I am still here for it. I have never actually gotten to watch it because I've never played it here. But the day they do, that one is going to be on a loop.
I'm like, we need to watch that and then live tweet all of our reactions.
Maybe Ben can be a guest. I mean, just saying.
I mean, if we're going to dream, we may as well dream high.
Why not? You don't ask, you don't get. That's what I always say.
That's true.
So I feel like she was never really... She's the savior.
But she hasn't, like, come into her own power or, like...
Right.
Reclaimed her, not identity, but maybe her strength.
And I feel like she chooses to kind of go back into the, orphan nobody that she was at the beginning by choosing Mal. And I'm like, you could have been with Nikolai. And even if you didn't love him...
you could have learned.
Damn it. My goodness. But also, if you're trying to save the world and make it a better world, what better position
than on top?
Then by the side of the King of Ravka, who has at that point so much power in so many ways that you can make the world a better place, especially after, the Darkling is allegedly not in the picture.
Yeah. Allegedly. And I think it is kind of, maybe not a failing, but it's definitely, I think, an overused trope in young adult storytelling is the idea that at the end, everyone has to be paired up with someone. When I think sometimes the stronger choice is to just let your character stand alone. And like, it's okay, she wasn't in love with Nikolai. That doesn't mean she couldn't still be someone important, like an Apparat type figure, like giving him counsel and being a living symbol to the Grisha as well as the rest of Ravka and the rest of the world. One thing though, speaking of Mal, is kind of circling back, I always wondered in the book, because Mal was always kind of hinted as having some kind of extra power.
Yes.
Maybe being an amplifier.
Yes.
And he's got this weird connection, not only with Alina, but these like almost supernatural tracking abilities. And it's never explained in the books. My God, I hope they explain it in the show. It seems like it would make his character, which really is just kind of standing there at the moment, you know, being... Alina! Being sad and bitter that his girlfriend is, you know, with Ben Barnes. I hope that they go into it and kind of figure out, like, what it is about him that makes him special like that.
Exactly, because I think that would answer some questions.
Yeah.
Not only... you know, kind of round out his character a little bit more.
Yeah.
But also, it seems like he was a safe choice. And I understand the safe choice is very tempting a lot of the time. And, oh, you know, don't go for the bad boy. Be for the, you know. And I understand that. But considering who she was, I feel that she could have, you know, helped Nikolai. And then, as you find out later in his books, he does need that help.
Yeah.
And maybe effected a change in the Darkling. Or, you know, if she is with Mal, then maybe he has that extra something.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you remember I'm not sure if it was in the books, but in the show, they explicitly show that he was never tested. For us having Grisha powers. So it's entirely plausible that he is actually some kind of Grisha. Which would be kind of cool, I think, to me anyway. But yeah, their whole relationship is also very one-sided. Now that we talk about like one-sided Alina wanting people that don't necessarily want her back, I mean, in the books at least, Mal was completely oblivious to Alina. It seemed like for a long time they joined the army and he was kind of this hotshot and she was just off by herself and he ignored her a lot. And I'm like, Alina,
until it was written that he had to be the love interest to contrast
until
him
it was
with,
like, oh, she has sparkly glowy powers. I love her now because reasons. Like, come on. Platonic friendship is one of the least represented tropes.
I agree. How beautiful
YA.
Could it
that
have
would have been beautiful if they were just friends. Oh well.
So there was this fan fiction, and if anyone knows which story I'm talking about, because of course my machine died after I'd read it, so all my bookmarks went away. There is this several episodes, like lots of episodes in this fan fiction where Alina chooses the Darkling, but she changes him and she makes him understand that he can do so much more by not giving in to the darkness. And it ends up with, you know, her and some of the other people in the books kind of forming this council where, the Darkling, you know, he needs to be in charge, whatever. But they are there to sort of keep him in check. And to, you know, sort of guide him when he kind of starts to fall back into his destructive
old habits
patterns. And I'm like, I would have loved that. I would have loved that ending where, you know, maybe she's not 100% in love with him, but it's like, you know, but
we can work together.
We can work together
and make Ravka
and we
better.
can, you know, like he used her powers. We can use his powers to make the world a better place. And I don't have that story. So if anyone knows,
leave it in the comments. We'd love to get
please let us know. So if you wrote it, oh my goodness,
Good
major
job.
props.
Well, side characters that we haven't talked about yet. One of my favorites, especially in the most recent duology, has been Zoya. And her character has really gotten some extra life kind of breathed into her in the show. Partially because the woman who plays her is like amazing. She's wonderful. I'm so happy that she's getting more screen time. especially because in the books, at least in the first book, she was very much just like there to be Alina's
the
bitchy enemy that dislikes Alina just because she's there.
Yeah.
Where in the show, she's definitely much more of a power player.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to see what happens with her character. As
this
the show
cast,
progresses.
I think, was so well put together.
Amazing.
And there's a video that I will link to of Leigh Bardugo meeting the crows. They're in character, they're ready to go film, and
that
she
must
shows
be so surreal.
And she gets so emotional, and you can tell that the actors are like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing, you created me," and she did a little cameo in the show, but. The production, I feel, was really good. I'm really looking forward.
Feast of the eyes. Like, oh my God.
It really was. And everything was so well detailed. I mean, even though, like, the Crows Club.
Yeah.
It was so well done. And they add all these little details to tell you exactly who Cass and Inish are. Yeah. Like when he's talking to the guy about, oh, yeah, that painting got stolen? What? Oh, I have no idea. And then he walks into his office and it's right there.
It is.
Yeah, it's like, haha,
and every time Jesper is on screen, like stealing the show,
he is such a ham. And they picked the perfect actor. And Wylan. The actor they have cast for Wylan is a literal, like, heart-faced.
Yeah, little cherub baby boy.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be great, y'all.
I think so. I think it's going to be wonderful.
So what things are you looking forward to in season 2? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, they seem to be following, the books pretty well. Yeah. And I am looking forward to see how they handle the whole, Darkling and eventually Alina being able to break into each other's realities.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. For a while, it seemed like he was almost haunting her in the books.
Yeah. And it was very
unsettling.
Very unsettling, kind of predatory.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And
especially with the events of the season finale of the first Shadow and Bone, when he's trying to like steal her power and she reclaims it, and now he's breaking into her mind. It's all very like slightly rape allegory kind of feeling
very
to
much
it.
so.
So we'll see how
very
that works. Yeah. It
I don't
seems
know. I'm
like
not
they're going to be on the
forward
hunt
to-
for amplifiers, though. Don't you think? That's what they're going to be doing. I think that's what happened in the second book. They're off for amplifiers and meeting.
Yeah, I like Matthias though.
Oh, you do?
I did like Matthias and Nina. I mean, I like the pairing. I don't know if Matthias by himself, I would have liked him so much.
Yeah.
And I think they were portrayed beautifully. I absolutely love Danielle Galligan. Mm-hmm. She is a goddess.
She's perfection.
And
I could not have cast her better. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what the Crows are going to be doing.
Right. What storyline are they going to give them? Yeah. Because they didn't follow, their story on season 1. You kind of barely get to hear Picca Rollins' name. Right. And we know that is the main driving force for Cass's entire being. Right. To get back at the man who...
And there, for a while, there was a rumor going around that the Crows might get their own spin-off series.
I've heard that too. I've heard that too. Maybe they're just sort of introducing them in this show and having them be part of the Shadow and Bone.
But I mean, I was looking at the cast list for the second season, and all the Crows are still featured as cast members. So I kind of wonder what storyline that's going to make them, if there ends up being a spin-off in the future. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, because they kind of failed.
Run out of material.
Well, they failed at their mission,
True, yeah.
So it's like, what are they going back to?
True.
Yeah, they're kind of in a little bit of trouble. And we know what happens when people run out of the original material. Game of Thrones. That was shit. Anyway. I think, I hope they have this handled and kind of planned out for the next few seasons, because like we said, we love the show.
Yes, we love the show.
Independently of whether it incorporated, certain things from the books.
Yeah.
It was very well done. I got my husband to watch it. He liked it. He hasn't read the books.
Yeah. Well, that's the beautiful thing, too, is that you don't lose anything by not having read the books.
Right. It's a self-contained story.
Yeah,
the characters are
very different properties that happen to take place in similar worlds, but they're both beautiful in their own right.
Yeah.
Which I thought was the best thing about it. Like, sometimes you get remakes or adaptations that fail horribly and do no justice at all to the source material. Somehow the show managed to be so different, but retain all the heart that made people fall in love with these books to begin with.
Yeah.
So, props
well
to the
done.
showrunners.
Absolutely.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well, we're so excited for the second season. Tell us any theories that you guys have for what's going to happen, what you're most excited about. We'd love to hear that. Comments below, of course. We'd love to talk to you all. And, of course, like and subscribe to our channel. We love that.
Absolutely.
All right. Happy reading, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.